Hello, welcome to scr1tno Knitting Project podcast. My name is Sharon and I'm coming to you from Surrey in the UK, where I live with my family, 3 cats and a dog. Today is Thursday the 29th of April 2021 and this is episode 91. Welcome if you are a new viewer. I have picked up a load of new subscribers this week. Thank you so much. And welcome back if you are one of my regulars. Thank you so much for joining me today. So this is my podcast all about my crafting. I have got some embroidery today. Had forgotten about that, but I have got some embroidery today. I've got some crochet and I've got some knitting. I did say last week I was going to show you my knitting journal this week. Haven't sorted that out, so I will try and record that during the week and put it on next week's. Completely forgot. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining me. Let's go into admin. So admin, the podcast has a Ravelry group. It has a Mighty Networks group that isn't running yet. You can email me at scr1tno@outlook.com and I'm on Instagram also as scr1tno. We have 2 knit-alongs going on at the moment. We have the Square a Day KAL, which is where we work on something, a small part of something bigger each week, and the next check-in is due at the end of June, and I have completely forgotten what that check-in number was. Oh, one day I'll write it down, won't I? But it'll be below here because I love doing that to myself in editing. We've also got the Stripy Sock KAL, which is wrapping up for the month of April. So if you haven't already, by the time you see this on Sunday, get those entries in really quickly because I believe it will be the 1st on Sunday. Or the 2nd even. Oh no, you will have needed to have got them in by then. Okay, I may give you an extra day. Well done. There's so many lovely entries. I seem to be getting tagged every 5 minutes on Instagram at the moment, which is fantastic. So if you can't enter in the Ravelry group, if you tag me on Instagram, I'm trying to share it to my stories and then highlight it so that I can count those as entries too. If you could just enter in one place, that would be useful, but if you can't, that's fine. If you do, that's fine. I weed you out. So talking of that particular KAL, first of all, let's go into May's one. So May obviously is coming up on Saturday. It will start on Saturday. And the dyers for an extra entry this month are a Lonely Sock Lady, Zauberball if it's a commercial, and Strawberry Field. So if you've got any one of those yarns and you want to knit the socks, you will get 2 entries. Whips are allowed. So if you've got a languishing Zauberball at the bottom of a project bag somewhere, now's the time to get that out. Zauberballs can be funny. I know that they can gradiate rather than stripe, so if you've got one that does that, can you just stick the ball band in with it? Although to be fair, Zauberball is quite recognisable. I love Zauberball. I use it quite a bit actually, and I haven't on the podcast recently, so I've got so many socks in Zauberball, and I was wearing some the other day and they're so nice. They're not the softest while you're knitting them, but they wash really well. They really do wash well. They really soften up. So yeah, that's your people for an extra entry. Obviously you don't have to use these people, that's fine. If you've just knitting a pair of stripy socks, pop them in. If you've got any whips that you're finishing, pop them in. Okay, so that's for May. I have an extra prize, which is this lovely skein of wool from Joanne Wood Paint, which is out of my stash, which when I was destashing yesterday, I pulled this out because I thought it was so pretty. It's Monet Water Lilies. I thought it would make a nice prize, so I'm going to donate that myself and pop it in the prize pile. Won't be for this month's. I will show you what May's prizes are on next week's podcast, just because then it will be May. I will also draw for April's prizes on next week's podcast. That's exciting. Can't believe it's come around to prizes again. I only feel like I've only just sent out the last ones, but I was a little bit better than that. I did send them out like the next week, I think. Excuse my dog. I don't know why she's barking. I don't think there's anybody at the door. I've not had the doorbell go. I think that's it, isn't it? I don't think I need to say anything else for that. So yeah, what else? There was something else for admin I wanted to add. What else did I want to add for admin? Okay, can't remember. I'm wearing my understated. This is an understated by Hohi Locatelli. This is in Rhapsody yarn in their peacock colourway. Absolutely love it. Wear it all the time. The understated is a really wearable jumper. I love it. I honestly cannot remember anything else I was going to say for admin, although I know there was something, so I may have to think about it, come back after I've done some of the other sections. But shall we see some knitting? So day one is socks, and that's hanging, my current sock whip is hanging out in my lovely, I've just remembered what I couldn't think of in admin. I was going to show you the yarn I was going to knit in Lone's yarn for my entry for this, but not to worry, I'll do that next week now. So this is my current entry for the current month's sock KAL, and it's hanging out in my lovely kiwi bag, which is the bag that one of our lovely viewers made. And this is really pretty. I am using Giddy Yarn's self-striping in the Robin Redbreast colourway, and this is what it looks like. And this is how it's knitting up. Oh wow, major tangle. There we go. That sorted it. Oh, isn't that pretty? Love it. So this is going to go in my Christmas box of socks. And then for the heel, I'm using a lovely mini that my friend Lone sent to me when we were trying to work out the colour silver for my Christmas blanket. This one was a bit dark, but absolutely perfect for this sock. So I have used it for going in here for my heel, and I was there last week where that little birdie is, and I've got kind of a robin-y one of these, but I couldn't find it, so it's just a bluebird. So I have turned the heel and picked up for my gusset decreases. I need to do that. And I'm still on my first sock, so I'm not going to even get the first sock done by the end of the KAL, let alone the second one. So I use 2 circulars to knit socks. I can do 2 at a time on 2 circulars as well, but I tend not to. I don't tend to get second sock syndrome, so I don't really have an issue. These are Licky 2.5mm needles. My vanilla sock is 60 stitches on 2.5mm needles. Sort of works really well for me. They fit knit really nicely. And although I like the gauge of a tighter gauge on a 2.25, I find it's a bit bulletproof with my tension, so going up a needle size for the socks for on a 2.25 has made my life so much easier. So this is my go-to size, and yeah, I'm really enjoying them. They're a fun knit. I do like knitting stripes. I think I'm going to miss them next year if we don't do it again. What do you think? Do you think we should do it again? Are you all running out of striping yarn, or would you fancy doing it again? Or maybe we just have a general sock KAL next year with the same theory of guest dyers each month, and but you can knit whatever you like. Just have a sock KAL. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, please. So that's day 1 socks. So day 2 is shawl day, and that's hanging out in my hoggy bag, my hedgehog bag from Busy Pottering, which I love. And this is a Maytham shawl by Curious Handmade. Let's get all the bits out. So, can I find you a picture? I mean, if you're a regular viewer, you will have seen this, because obviously I've just finished a Maytham and I'm about to start another one. Well, I'm working on another one, I should say. So that's what the Maytham shawl looks like. If you go back 2 podcasts, if you're new, you'll see my other one finished, and the fact that I didn't check that mine was doing this, and I've got it tucked up and when I'm showing it, which is really irritating when I was watching it back. So if you check out on yeah, I think it's 2 episodes ago, it's the one that says lots of lovely FOs, maybe it's 3, that's on there, and my jumper. So I'm using, for this project, I am using Hedgerow Yarn Enchanted Garden. and Pampas. So Enchanted Garden is this beautiful pink speckled yarn. They're both a 80% merino, 20% silk, so they're very luxurious, and it's got this lovely sheen on it. Very pretty. And my eldest daughter is getting married next year, and I am going to use this shawl as a starting point for my outfit. I've got a bag that goes with it too from Taffety Mouse. I bought one of her project bags, loved it so much I thought I'm just going to keep this as a handbag for my daughter's wedding day. And this is Pampas, so it's just a kind of an undyed almost, and again has got this lovely sheen to it because of the silk, and it's hanging out in my little needle cozy from Craft House Magic, a little sheepy one. Again, I'm using Nicky needles. You'll see that they are going to be my needle of choice. I like Nicky needles. I like wooden needles because they're softer on my hands. And this is a 4mm on quite a long cable. So let's turn it that way around so you can actually see the front. And I'm gonna, there we go. As you can see, I have just started a lace section. The eyelets down there are an increased row. Because this is a half pie shawl, you double your stitches periodically. So this is the second to last increase. Once I do the next double, which takes me to the realms of 500 stitches, that is the last increase. So I am doing the lace work. Now the lace work on this now is really easy to read your knitting, so I no longer need the stitch markers on. So I've taken them off, and it is very, very pretty, and that's how it's working up with the speckled yarn underneath. I'm worried that this is getting a bit dark and light today. I think it's because it's a really sunny, cloudy day behind you, so the sun's going in and out like a yo-yo. So I apologise for that if my lighting's a bit off. As you can see, I was there and now I'm there. So I have done quite a bit on this week. Now this was on Tuesday, and we are now back to face-to-face guiding. So I couldn't work on it in the evening. So this is just what I managed to sneak in during the day, during my lunch hour and before I started work. So not bad progress considering that. Now, if you're new here, the rotation, I work over a 6-day rotation. And the reason it's 6 days is because if I was to work on the same item, so for instance, if I was to work on this shawl only on a Tuesday, because I do guiding in the evening, I wouldn't ever really make much progress on it. But next week it'll be on a Monday when I'm less busy, and then also the week after that it'll be on the Sunday, so each of them get like weekend days as well, where I've got much more time to knit, and that's why it's a rotation of over 6 days and not 7. Yeah, I do love this. It's going to be very pretty when it's done. Very, very pretty. And yeah, I really enjoy working on it. It's so delicate. It's such a pretty project to work on. And some of it's TV knitting, some of it isn't. The lace section I'm on at the moment is so intuitive you can watch TV with it without any trouble. I'm currently rewatching, well, I've just finished actually rewatching all the Marvel films. Turns out I've never seen Endgame, so I watched that last night with Meg. And I'm about to do WandaVision and then Winter Soldier, which are 2 little series that they've got after that, so that's what I've been watching. And I was able to watch that and knit on this. That's where I was going with that. There were some links there somewhere. So anyway, that is day 2, shawl day. So day 3 is garment day, and I am a squirrel with no self-control who's totally influenced by her friends. Let's start with the love note. So I'm knitting a love note, and that's hanging out in this lovely bag by a yarn dyer's daughter, who is Megan Lay, daughter of Kelly, Lay Family Yarn. And I am knitting a love note, which, there we go, looks like that. I am doing a DK one actually, and mine is being done in this beautiful yarn by Laura, who is a lonely knitter, has Crafter's Balm and Bumbling Yarns. There we go. And I went back and added the neck on mine because I wasn't convinced about the provisional cast on. So I've done that, and then I was there last week when you saw this, where my little star is. That's also one of Laura's little progress keepers that she makes. So I did from there to there, which actually is not bad progress when you see what else I've been doing. That's it. So I'm knitting this on 2 circulars, one of which is a licky. These are 6mm. Yeah, 6mm, with a DK weight yarn, and I'm doing 2 circulars because my cables are really long and I can't get all of these on one cable, and I'm not a fan of magic loop, so I just use 2 circulars on it. You can use that exactly the same theory principle as you do for the socks. So I'm still working down the lace section at the moment. I love this. I need to get on with this. However, I got completely derailed and railroaded by a friend who had finished her version of what I'm going to show you. Reminded me how much I love knitting them, and I'm knitting another one, so I will show you that in a moment. So this is the Love Note by Tin Can Knits. I'm using DK yarn on 6mm needles, and that would be my husband's phone again. There we go, so I answered it this time. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to actually getting that done. I really need to work on that. There's a girl called Julie. She knows I love her dearly, but this is all her fault. Let me just put my love note away and you can see where else I'm knitting. I mean, to be fair, I think this is actually the first time I've had 2 garments on the go since I fell out of love with my Ingrid and was knitting this as well. So my next project is hanging out in this lovely little project bag, which is a Flower Fairy bag by Donna's Designs, is it called? It was a collaboration with Donna's Designs. It was a collaboration with Knit Style Yarns. It came with some yarn as well. Oh, I love this project bag, and it seemed very rather appropriate for this project, shall we say. Right, okay, let's get all the yarn out. Let's get all the yarn tags out. 1, 2, 3. And let's find the pattern picture. So I don't think I've actually knit one of these since I started the podcast, although you've seen me repair one, there's a hint. And I own 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, so this is my 5th one, and this is the EDT by Isabel Kramer, and I love it. Now Isabel is in the process of updating all her patterns for size inclusivity, and she hasn't done this one yet. So the largest size on this is a 49.5 inch, but she is trying to get around to doing all her older patterns. There is a newer tee that she does which is much more size inclusive. I think it goes up to 60 something, but this is the one I'm doing. This is the EDT. And I decided, I was very much inspired by Helen of Giddy Yarns. If you don't watch her podcast, please go do watch her. She's just knitted a baby vertebrae in one of her colourways. I think it's called Beth. And it's this beautiful, gentle, pinky, lilac-y colour. with some beautiful speckles on it. It's really pretty, and each time I see it I think I really want a cardigan in that colourway, but at the moment I thought, well, let's shop my stash, and I've grabbed some Lay Family yarn. So this is where I've started my EDT. It's very difficult to show. So I have got, I was hoping to split for the sleeves last night, but I just couldn't quite get there. And I've started it. That's the top. That's hold on, let's hold those two together because they're the top of the sleeve. So that's a sleeve. That's a front. And then if I do the same this side, there you go, you can see the other front. Ah, that's better. Now it actually looks like a little T. I love this yarn, it's so pretty. This is just beautiful, beautiful Lay Family yarn. And it did exactly what I was hoping it would do. It's beautifully speckled. So that's my first yarn. So that one is called Daddy's Girl. And these are all, well, they're mostly 75/25 merino nylon. So that's Lay Family yarn. And that's Daddy's Girl. So that is this one, which, yeah, I absolutely love it. So pretty, and as I said, it's definitely doing exactly what I wanted it to do. Now, because these are all single skeins, I'm going to fade it, and I'm going to fade it into this one here. That's going to be my next colour, and this is the Cornish Way, which is really, really pretty. Again, these are all Lay Family yarn. I thought I probably should start reducing my stash back there of Lay Family yarn. And lastly, my bottom one is Mango Sunset. So that's a much deeper pinky peach. So they're going to look like that when they're done. Gosh, that shows you how much of that I've used. I'm possibly going to put sleeves on it, or at least little sleeves on it. It's possibly about here. It does come with sleeves, so I'll have to see how far down it goes. And I haven't decided whether I'm going to do the short row hem at the bottom, because it's got short row shaping at the bottom, which is really pretty, or whether I'm going to split hem mine, which I've done with one of my other ones, and I quite like that over jeans. So I haven't decided on that yet, but I've got a little while to go before that. So that's why I got derailed off of my love note, because Julie finished her EDT, and I was like, oh, I want to knit another one. And I do love this pattern. It's so easy to follow. That's something else I would say about Isabel Kramer's patterns. She holds your hand every step of the way. When you originally look at them, you think, oh wow, this is a bit wordy, this looks complicated. But when you actually break it down, you realise that what she's done is explained each row in detail and given you stitch counts. So if you were a beginner knitting in the round garment knitter, I would totally recommend this pattern, because as long as you follow her instructions, you can't go wrong. And if you do go wrong, you can see you've gone wrong and you can go back and fix it. I mean, stitch markers are your friends, but she tells you where to put your stitch markers in for the row counts. So I've got lots of little stitch markers in here. Sorry, not for the row counts, but for like where you've got your front to your sleeve, to the back, to the sleeve, to the front. She tells you how to where to increase for the V-neck, for the front, the sleeves. Is really clever. And each section is numbered, so you know how many stitches you should have in that section between those two stitch markers. In that respect, Isabel's patterns are fantastic. As I said, you might open them and go, whoa, that's a lot of words. Don't be put off, because once you actually start reading those words, they make a whole lot of sense. I'm a real fan of Isabel Kramer's patterns, actually, and now she's grading up all her patterns for size inclusivity, and she's listened to what all the knitters are saying and what they would like. That's fab. So yeah, as I said, this one's not as size inclusive because she hasn't got back to her back catalogue so much yet, but certainly her new stuff that she's bringing out is fantastic, and there's some really pretty patterns there as well. I was tempted to have a go at a different tea, but because I knew I wanted to fade this, I thought actually I might stick with one that I know, so that I haven't got to worry about the construction. I've only got to worry about the colour management. Does that make sense? But yeah, so I got completely derailed, but I cannot put this project down, and I keep knitting rounds on it all. Well, as you can see, I mean that was 100 gram. That used to be that size. That's how much yarn I've knitted. And for the sake of the project, I will explain what I have done. I have set myself a target on each of my projects that I have to get that done on that day. If I don't get that done on that day, then I can't knit on this. So this is my reward for getting so much done on that day, and that's the reason why I've got so much of this done. I was tempted to go off project and just knit this, but equally I know this can be quite hard on my hands, so I should have a break and knit on other projects from time to time, which is exactly what I'm doing. I'm using 4mm. The pattern calls for 3.75. I think it's 3.75. Let me just check that. Let's have a look. 3.5. So I've gone up a whole half a size, but that is just because I like the nice loose. I love that look. I particularly love fingering weight yarn on 4mm needles. I just love that gauge. So I've just got up a size because I haven't got to worry about running out of yarn, because I mean I don't think I'm going to but if I do, I will just go raid another one and fade something else in. Once I finish this one, I'm going to have a very good idea as to whether I'm going to get the rest of it out of this one. So this is always going to be the last one. It's whether I have to put one between these two, but I don't think I will, if I'm honest. I think this is going to last me till at least till I've split for the sleeves, and then I think I'll end up having to stop with this one so that I can put this one in. So I'll have to decide whether I actually want to do that or whether I leave that. But I have to say, now I've started this, I'm now planning a Sherry Iris EDT, because obviously I've got a load of Sherry's yarn back there as well, and I'm just like, oh, all about the Eddies. And I found a load of lovely Giddy yarn that a few of the collections I bought full skeins from, and they just go together really nicely. I was like, oh, that would work too. So I think you might see a few of these coming up. I might try and vary it for you and try and knit a different tee. Not just the same. That is the same problem with me though. Once I find a pattern I really like, I want to knit it in multiple colours. That was the same with the understated. I've got 2 understateds. I'm sure there will be a third one at some point. In fact, I have yarn there. This yarn. This is vintage China from Lay Family Yarn, which is a DK, and I want to do an understated in this. So I know there is definitely more understateds in my future. Oh, I actually thought that next year maybe I should have a rotation of garments and have like day 1 is the understated, day 2 is the EDT, day 3 is the love note, that kind of thing. Don't know how practical that would be though, but at least I did that with loads of lovely garments. That would be cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, I don't think I've got anything more to say about that other than I absolutely love how this yarn is knitting up. And really just to thank Julie for inspiring me to make another one, because it wasn't even on my radar the day that she showed me hers, and within an hour I think of her showing me it, I had chosen the yarn, wound it up and had cast on. And it has brought me so much joy this week. I have everything about it, the yarn. I mean, I'm really good friends with Kelly of Lay Family Yarn anyway, but one of the reasons is because I adore her yarn so much. She's very much to my taste. So to be knitting something with Kelly's yarn is fantastic. But anyway, I think that's probably long enough. I think I've done 15 minutes on jumpers or garments. So that's day 3 garments. Day 4 is small items day, and that's hanging out in my Valentine's bag from Craft House Magic. And these are the Varia mitts, which is a pattern by Erica Huser, and should look something like that. So I have done the first one, which is this one. I haven't sewn my ends in, but I have done the first one. That's my little owl. If I was to do this again, I would use a darker brown for the contrast, but in actual fact on camera he shows up really, really well. He doesn't show up quite as well in real life, but on camera you can really see him. And I am using Gear Wars by Gamer Crafter, which is the brown. This white and black speckle is Hedgewig by Felt Fusion, and the blue is a little mini that I dyed, and has sparkle in it, little sparkle mini. Actually that has sparkle too, so these both got stellina in. That one hasn't, that's just an a merino nylon, I think, yes. And this is how far I've got. So I was where the owl marker is, and I have done the whole of the bottom cuff, so the whole of this bit here, that's done. So I now need to start doing the actual pattern. So this is Fair Isle. It's a Fair Isle pattern, and it's got this pretty pattern on the palm and on the thumb there. Yeah, so if you go back quite a few episodes now, you'll know that I wasn't very happy with how this blue contrasted with the brown. I thought it was going to contrast far more than it did. It's supposed to look like that at the bottom. Can you see that bit there? And it doesn't. You can't really see the pattern at all. But I'm going to leave it because it's the same as the other one, and it is a pattern of sorts. It's just not the pattern. And it did give me a good chance to show everybody what a contrasting yarn can look like in black and white. So I'm not going to do it again now, but if you are a new viewer, there is one of my previous podcasts, I don't know which number it is, I show you, I put it into black and white and show you how you can't see the contrast between these two colours, but how, and then the next week I show you how you can see the contrast between these two colours. Shall I just hold them like that and just do it in black and white quickly? There we go. So if it's gone into black and white, if I've done it right, you can't really see the blue against the brown and that at all now. That just looks like one colour, whereas you can clearly see the brown and the white, which would say that this is a good contrast and that's a bad contrast. So just done it quickly just in case. But yeah, so these are the Varia mitts by Erica Huser. I really like them. They're just a fingerless mitt. And yeah, as I said, if I knit them again, I'd just make sure this brown was a little bit more brown, a little darker. But they're a fun knit to do. If you like colour work, then a Fair Isle, these are a breeze. You don't use anything more than 2 colours at any one time. The floats can get a little bit long, so you have to catch your floats, but I never see why that's a problem, because if it was a shorter section you'd still be knitting that in, so you just have to make sure you remember to catch your float. So it's more of a memory problem than an actual knitting problem. It's not difficult. Now my colour work, as a friend was mentioning about the fact that she's not over keen on colour work and she keeps pulling it out, and there's stigmatism is not quite the right word. There's a, not quite sure what the word is, but there is an implication, let's put it that way, that if you can't do two-handed colour work, you're not doing it properly. I can't do two-handed colour work. I have to drop the yarn between each stitch when I'm changing the colour. I hold them both in my right hand, and I throw, well, I don't hold them both, I hold whichever one I'm using at the time in my right hand, and because I'm an English thrower, and when I get to the colour change I drop that yarn and pick up the other yarn. So yeah, probably means I'm not as quick as I could be, but it gives me really even colour work because my tension is the same on both yarns because I'm doing the same thing. So what I lack in speed, I make up for in evenness and tension of knitting. There's no colour dominance on my colour work. It's especially, you can see it particularly in there. You can see that the brown is as flat as the white. There is no colour dominance, and that is because my tension is the same with both yarns because I drop one and pick the other one up. So yeah, I think this kind of rule that's going around about the fact that you should do two-handed colour work, yes, it's quicker, but not necessarily better. Just my opinion, but yeah, I literally do a yarn at a time. Yes, it does mean I'm slower, but I don't get any puckering at all that way because my tension's the same. Right, as soon as we've now been joined by my lovely neighbour and his leaf blower, I'm going to pause for a minute and move on to section 5. So that's section 4, Small Items Day. So day 5 is Mystery Blanket Day, and that's hanging out in my Bags by Awesome Granny bag, which is a Swan Lake one. Love this bag. And the Mystery Blanket is a club that is run by Debbie Abrahams. This is the one for 2019, I think we decided. It's called Winter Wonderland, so no longer a mystery because most people have finished theirs. And I finished strips 1 and 2, and I'm now on strip 3. Now I'd already knit this bottom one of strip 3 because the way the club is released, Debbie does it so that you can knit it in strips, but when she releases them she doesn't necessarily release like what, strip 1 all in one go, strip 2 all in one go. She'll do like 2 with strip 1 and maybe 1 of strip 3 and 2 of strip 4, so you can still knit it in strips but you don't get it all in one go, which is part of the mystery. So I'd already knit this first one, so this was square 1 of strip 3. Bear with me, I need to change my camera battery now. Sorry about that. Right, so I'd already knit square 1 of strip 3, so at least I'd already done that. So now I have added in square 2, which is a very pretty lace work with beads. Can you see the beads in there? Oh, bear with me. You know that bit about where I live with my family? They know I'm recording, but apparently our internet's gone down. That could make my working day interesting in a bit. Anyway, what was I saying? This is a beautiful lace section. This square did not take me long, hence why I've done a whole square. I don't normally get one of these completely finished on their day. It was also helpful, it was a weekend. Apparently I didn't sew my ends in though, which is really naughty, and I normally do that, so slap wrist for me. Now, Mystery Blanket Day falls on Friday this week. Which means that I will have to have a look and see what my next square is as to whether I can knit it in the car, or I might just take my EDT with me, knit that in the car, and then do this when I get home. But these aren't always portable. I mean, this one would have, well, no, this one would definitely not have been portable. It would have been portable if I hadn't had to hook in beads. That's not portable. Otherwise you just end up with beads all over the car. Believe me, I've tried. So yeah, if it's one of the squares where some of the squares you thread the beads on first, so you just knit them in when you get to them, but when you have to hook them on, you've obviously got a little pole sitting in front of you to hook them on, and you hook them on with a tiny little crochet hook, which is in here. So that's all my beads in there. There's going to be a lot of beads on this blanket, and yeah, it's like a minuscule. This is a 0.75 crochet hook, which is what you use to hook them on. So you put the bead on the hook first, and then you grab the yarn and the stitch, so you do it off the stitch that's on the other needle, and you pull the stitch through the bead with the crochet hook, and then you put the stitch back on the needle and knit the stitch. And then I've also got in here a needle and thread, which is attached to my bead bag. Can you see that? Yeah. You see that there? And then that's what you use to add the beads to the yarn, which you have to do in a certain order, and it's really, really irritating if you then get a knot in that ball of yarn and you've got to take all the beads off because you can't get the beads over the knot. Happened to me more than once. So yeah, so that's the square I did this week. So I'm now going up strip, I keep calling them stripes, strip 3. So I'm getting there slowly but surely. I want to try not to lose momentum with this because it tends to be the first thing that drops off the project is Mystery Blanket Day. And I have quite a few of these that I've not knit, so I need to get on with them and I need to stop buying them. I think I've got this year's. I think that's going to have to be my last year until I've actually made them all. I think that should be a rule. Right, so that's day 5, Mystery Blanket Day. So day 6 is Blanket Day, and I'm rotating 2 blankets at the moment. I'm rotating a Habitations Row by Helen Stewart in Woolly Goodness yarn, and I'm rotating this one, which is the one I worked on this week, which is hanging out in my Mrs. Brown's bucket, which is a Stitch in Time blanket by Kay Jones. Here's the lovely Kay of the Bakery Bears. So hers is 3x4. I'm thinking that mine might end up 4x4. So I am doing this in Hedgerow Yarns, and I was going to show you these quickly because they're so pretty. You don't mind seeing them every week, do you? There's that one. There's that one. I was sure I've got 2 of these that are stitched together. I don't know where that is if I have. And that one. So that's what the individual squares look like. I showed you that one back to front actually. And I have just, so this is my working bag. So I don't have to carry the big bag all the time. And I've got some of the pink yarn that I'm using for the edges. That is actually a single. It's very pretty. Possibly not the most practical. I'm using 2.5mm Licky needles. And look, I've got a little bag of Hedgerow yarn minis. Aren't they pretty? And I finished this square. So I need to put the edge on now. So I did that one. So each one that's got a stitch marker on it, except for the bottom corner. So I did that one with the rainbow, that one, and that one. So that's this square. So I'm now about to put the border on. So pretty. I really enjoy doing these. That's a pretty one, that blue one. So much fun. And then my leftovers are going in a bag behind me at the moment for my friend Anne. I'm trying to save up some bits for her. Look at these ones. Aren't they lovely? Oh, these are an old one because they haven't got a set number on them. So these have been around for a little while. This is another thing I just want to work on. So many things I just want to work on because they're so pretty. Oh, I'm thinking that once I've got my Varia mitts finished, I may move a blanket into that slot. Although that said, I have got a couple of babies that I need to knit for as well. So, and they are obviously small items, but we'll see. But yeah, so anyway, tangent. That is my lovely pile of squares. That's the Stitch in Time blanket by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. And what I worked on in day 6 this week. So yeah, that's all hanging out in this. That's day 6, blanket day. Right, so next up is my entry for the square a day KAL. It would have been sensible had I picked it up before I started. And that's hanging out in my seaside bag by Busy Pottering. And is it a really awkward to show you stage. So this is my Christmas blanket that I am making. And I am doing 5 rounds of granny squares, of granny clusters. I'm making a square, so there's 5 rounds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm joining them into strips, and then I'm joining the strips onto the main blanket, which is the stage at which I'm at. So as you can see, I've started to put this strip onto the strip below, and I'm using a single crochet to join them, which puts sort of this lovely border on it. And I think I'm going to have to do a single crochet all the way around the edge just to border off the final squares. So these are all the squares I've done since I last spoke to you. So there's that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. And I've started joining it all on. So as you can see, these are all joined. And that's as far as I got. I started doing that this morning. So for this morning session, that's as many as I joined on, so just over halfway. It's going to be the podcast of interruptions, isn't it? Right, so yeah, I managed to do over halfway this morning. I have to admit, I don't normally get that much done in the morning, so I either flew through it or I did it for too long, which is possible. So I just started adding in this one, so now I'm going to attach that end to that end, so hopefully next week that will all be attached and you can see that done. But that's what I'm working on. I hope you're all making progress on your square a days. Mine is actually a square a day, and admittedly a crocheted square a day, but it is indeed a square a day. But we've got some lovely quilts and all sorts going on. If you check out, if you can use Ravelry, if you check out the Ravelry group, it's a great source for inspiration if you're not sure what to do. And there is still time to catch up. I mean, you don't have to if you miss a check-in, that's not the end of the world. Okay, you can't enter, but you can catch up for the following check-in. So, you know, if you want to do it, if you do 2 squares a day, you'd catch up. So in other crafts, I have actually managed to do a little bit of embroidery this week, and that's hanging out in this beautiful bag. And I am doing the Stitchery sampler, and it comes in this beautiful folder, and Nikki recommends you don't keep it in the hoop, so I take mine off the hoop each time. And oh, what did I do this week? I did quite a bit for me. I did the herringbone, which I did get a lot better at the more I did it, which is cool. Yeah, I mean, that was my final leaf, and although it's very open, I kind of did it open so I could see the stitches, so I was quite pleased with that. And then I also did down there the stem stitch, but then I'd already learned how to do that from a lovely tutorial by Sherry Iris that's on her YouTube site, so I kind of whizzed through the stem stitch one. And I also put in a few of the running stitch squares, so that's what it's looking like. The cow pasty on the side is the tutorial from Sherry Iris. That's what I did with my one. I popped it on the side of this, and this is going to be a wall hanging. I'm not going to do anything clever with it. I'm going to frame it and put it on the wall. It's going to go in here somewhere. But I am very pleased with how this is turning out, and to be honest, my back is not shocking. It's not as shocking as I thought it could be. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I'm really enjoying stitching. I did get the chance to sit outside and stitch outside, which is my favourite thing to do because I can see better in the light. And also I have treated myself to these beautiful plain lace handkerchiefs, and I'm going to embroider these as birthday presents for a couple of friends. So I want to get onto that. Hopefully you might see them. Maybe not, because I was thinking about doing their initials and they might guess it's for them. I'll think about that one. Or if I decide not to do initials. But yeah, I'm really enjoying doing that. I love this, it's really pretty. Anything from the Stitchery I really enjoy. I'm really excited to have the advent calendar. It's going to be so much fun. There's certainly going to be something different for me to show on the podcast as well, which is nice. So when you, if you join me for Vlogmas, then you will be able to see what I open each day, and I'm really looking forward to that. So exciting. I've seen other people's, and oh, yeah, really looking forward to that one. So that's my embroidery. As I said, that's from the Stitchery. So that's it for other crafts for the moment. Let's move on into Happy Mail. So I got some happiest of happy mails this week. First of all, this is just amazing. So a little while ago I was saying on the podcast about how I'd used my first ever Lay Family Yarn Advent to make scrappy socks, and very foolishly magic knotted them. Don't ever magic knot if you're going to make socks. And it had all come out full of holes. Now, a very kind viewer of the podcast called Jo offered to mend them for me because I didn't think they were mendable and I was going to have to rip them out. But she's done it, and she's done a brilliant job mending them. It's absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much, Jo. I love them. So I'm really looking forward to being able to wear them again. Yeah, really looking forward to being able to wear them again. Some people are so clever. I didn't think that was salvageable. And bless her, she sent a present as well. This is a little pouch for embroidery, and it fits the tiny hoop, which will be perfect for embroidering those little handkerchiefs. So I'm going to put all that together, so hopefully next week you might get to see this with the handkerchiefs in it. But thank you so much. It's got a little zip on the back as well. Really clever design, love it. Yeah, thank you so much, and my colours as well, the blue. Really love that. So thank you, Jo. I mean, I have messaged Jo and thanked her anyway, but yeah, over the moon with that. So lovely. Right, so things I have acquired this week. First of all, from So Remy, who is Rachel, who is appealing for her Ko-fi account at the moment because her sewing machine has broken down, which is not great when that's your main source of income. So if you can go and help her out, if you could go hop across to her Instagram, if you search on her bio, there is a link for her Ko-fi account. But I got these stickers, which are, they've got, can you see it's got this really pretty little rabbit on, but also there's hot air balloon stickers in there too. So kind of it had to be done. And I got this lovely giant bucket. I love this, absolutely love this. And this is going to be for my new Cosy Memory blanket, which I'm not showing you this week because I haven't done another square on it yet. I got railroaded by that EDT. But this is fabulous, and I can't wait to have the oh, I'll show you inside. Have the blanket in there and see it grow. So yeah, very much in love with that. I also got, this is not coming out in any form of order just because it's the way it's coming out of my basket at the moment. The Last Homely House, which is the lovely Kate, had a shop update, and she had a tea towel and an ephemera pack. And I've had one of her tea towels in her Christmas box this year, and it's the biggest tea towel I've ever had, but they're so good for drying up big things. So I've grabbed another one of those. And funny enough, I was only thinking I would love another one of those when she did her update. That's her goose, Eileen. She sent her little badge as well with it. There's sets of these badges which are really cute. And then this is the ephemera pack. Now I am not actually going to open this and show you everything that's in here just because it's a huge pack and this podcast is already long enough. But they are, if you journal, then these are well worth picking up if you can get hold of one. If you sign up for her newsletter, you'll get a heads up as to when the shop updates are. And these are definitely well worth having. Yeah, so that's that one. And then last but not least, I got these lovely minis from Sherry Iris, which are bluebells. So this is part of her flower collection for this year. She's picking a flower a month. It had a little lavender sachet with it. She's picking a flower a month, and this month's, this month is bluebells. So we've had tulips. Okay, I can't remember. Why did I start that? I can't remember. This one's bluebells though, and it's very pretty, very sherry, and I do like them. So lovely. Show you that side. They're very different. They're different top and bottom as well as each other. So love those. So that's it for Happy Mail this week. I haven't got a huge amount, but what I have got is particularly lovely this week. So news from the knitting project. Number one, I have a huge D-stash going on. There is a D-stash account, which is scr1tno D-stash, over on Instagram. If you would like to go check that out, that would be fabulous. Thank you. I am rehoming some of the yarn that I no longer love, mainly because I've either got various versions of the same thing, which I'm going to come to in a moment, or it's just not to my taste anymore, or it was a club and I didn't like it. You know, there's a couple of those in there. But there's a thing going on Instagram at the moment about other yarn dyers copying other yarn dyers. And as a close friend said to me yesterday, when you're all choosing from the same rainbow, it's going to happen. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be copying someone. It's just you've had the same idea. It happens in all walks of life. For that, I wanted to show you an example. So during my D-stash, I have been rehoming yarn. I've got really similar yarn. And these are 3 skeins. Now, I'm not rehoming these because I love all 3 of them and I'm keeping them. I'm sorry. But these are all Christmas colourways. So I've got Deck the Halls from Down Sheepy Lane, Hot Chocolate from Santa for the Bakery Bears, and Mistletoe for Dusty Dimples. Now, I think these are a prime example of none of these dyes have copied each other, but they have all had the same idea, and this is what they look like. So they could almost be the same yarn. So that's Down Sheepy Lanes, which is Deck the Halls. So these are all from 2018 as well. I looked up when I bought them. I bought Mistletoe, which is that one, on the 22nd of October 2018, and I bought Hot Chocolate for Santa, which is that one, on the same day, 22nd of the 10th 2018, and I bought Deck the Halls on the 12th of the 11th 2018. I obviously was in that mood for these colours at the time. Now, I mean, if you look closely, they're not identical, but they are very, very, very similar. That is an 80-20, that is a 75-25, and that is also an 80-20. But I couldn't believe that any of these dyers would copy each other, so this is just a happy coincidence. Now this one has got a lot more brown in it than these two, whereas these two, I think if they were on the same base, would be almost identical. So I do think that the idea that one dyer has copied another, you know, unfortunate coincidence maybe, but I think it's very unlikely. I mean, these 3 dyers, Down Sheepy Lane, Bakery Bears and Dusty Dimples, have very different methods of dye, well, not methods, but styles. That's the word I'm looking for. Styles. Yet they have all 3 of them come up with something that would work together without any trouble whatsoever. But yeah, I think sometimes some people just look for an argument and don't do their research, and that's just for my stash. Now I do have, admittedly I have a nice stash, but I mean, bearing in mind I like the colour pink, can you imagine how many of the same colour pinks I've got from all different dyers? It happens. My thing is I like my yarn and I like the yarn that I buy. Anyway, that's enough of that. I just thought it was interesting that having come through and going through all my stash, I had found those particular 3 that are very variegated, so therefore could be very different, that are very the same from 3 separate dyes. So that's that part of news from the knitting project. The stash I've spoken about. Hopefully mid-May. I'm not quite sure when it's going to happen. It's not going to happen next week. It may not happen the week after, but it might. I'm going to go through my minis and start getting rid of my minis. Well, getting rid of. That's not a right way to put it. Rehoming. I'm going to start rehoming some of my minis because I have got a couple of sets that just really aren't to my taste. Again, a lot of them can be clubs. I tell you for a fact they will not be from Giddy Yarns, Lay Family Yarn or Sherry Iris. So I'm sorry if you're looking for those, but I won't be parting with those, I'm afraid. Yeah, as I said, I have got some still up at the moment. As we speak, I still have some left, so please do go check it out. There are some grab bags of scrappy bits as well. Yeah, and if it doesn't sell, well, I liked it at one point, except for 2 of the clubs, which I will just donate as prizes. So I'll get rid of them one way or another. Oh, what else have we got going on? So this weekend is Ian's birthday. It's his birthday on Sunday. So Friday we are going to Cardiff and St Athens so he can go spotting. So I'm going to have a really long car journey. I'm a little bit worried about the toilet situation because I'm not a fan of public toilets at the best of times, and certainly not since the coronavirus has hit. Not sure I'll be able to not pee all that time though. So that's what we're doing Friday. Saturday he's going out with his boys and I am making him a cake and we've got a shopping order. And then Sunday is his actual birthday and we're going on a spotting trip locally, and we're going to do Farnborough, Blackbush and something else that I can't remember the name of. And then Monday I'm hoping that we're just going to have a quiet day at home because it's a bank holiday here in the UK. It's the May Day bank holiday, so I don't have to work Monday. Yes. So we're going to hopefully have a quiet day on Monday and I might get some crafting done. I might get to start the, excuse me a minute. You rarely get to see me drinking my giant cup of decaffeinated coffee. So I'm hoping to get some crafting done on it. It'd be nice if we've got some nice weather, but I don't think we have. And then Friday we are going to Norwich for a spotting trip, and I'm hoping to call in on my lovely friend Laura, who's the Lonely Knitter, primarily to borrow her loo. So yeah, that's my next week. Is going to be a interesting week. It's going to be a busy week, I think. The girls are all fine, nothing going on with those at the moment, thankfully. Yeah, don't think I've got anything else to fill you in on at the minute. Did the D-stash. Thank you for anybody who has shopped my D-stash. My latest one, I am paying off the balance of my Nikki Franklin advent, so I'm really pleased about that one. Yeah, and I'm getting some kind of spaces, which is good, so I can actually see my yarn. I think that's one thing that finding those skeins for that EDT, I didn't search for them. I literally went, oh, you'll do, which was lovely. I mean, you know, I know I'm really lucky with my stash. But actually having a little bit of space to be able to appreciate it and, you know, see the wood for the trees, I'm appreciating that too. And there was an awful lot in there that I did sort of think, well, yeah, I don't think I will ever use this because it's not to my taste, or I've got 3 of that colourway, you know, why am I keeping 3 of them? Not of the same dye, I hasten to add, but just going back to everything being similar. So yeah, I've had a bit of a clear out, which you will see if you go check out my D-stash account. Jean, I will email you some photos. I haven't forgotten. I have some bits aside for you. Right, I think that's it. I honestly think that's it. I'm going to have a really fun rest of the work day because our internet's down and we'll be down till 4 o'clock. So I'm going to be hotspotting to my phone. I'm really looking forward to that. And goodness only knows how I'll get the podcast up. But hey, right, I'm going to leave you. So I hope you're all okay wherever you are. Take care and I'll see you next week. No, Demi, you cannot sleep in my sock drawer. But she's going to have a really good try.